Scripture reading is taken from Matthew's the 13th chapter and the 44th verse. Again, the kingdom of heaven is like unto treasure hid in a field, the which when a man hath found, he hideth, and for joy thereof goeth and selleth all that he hath, and buyeth that field. And thus is the scripture reading of Matthew's the 13th chapter, the 44th verse. Again, I say to you, good morning. You know, there was a story, a movie, some years ago, you might remember. It was called The Field of Dreams. The young man stood in his house and looked out his window over the cornfield, and he imagined, because he wanted to play, he was a baseball player, he wanted to play baseball. And so he looked out upon this field of corn, and he imagined that one day it would be a baseball diamond where he could live out his dream. And according to the movie, it came to pass. That which he had visualized materialized. Field of dreams. How many of us have looked out upon the world and have dreamed, have visualized? And so according to the scripture says that the kingdom of heaven is like a treasure hid in a field. And the man which had found that field, so to speak, and that which he found in the field, he hid. And he went and sold everything that he had to buy that field. I want to say one thing here. We want to understand that if you're a country boy or country girl, or even if you just have a garden, you know that you plant your seeds in the garden after you have tilled the soil, and you plant your seeds and you fertilize and you do what you have to do to bring forth that crop. There's also another old story, and I can't quite call, but it has to do with them folks, them hillbilly folks that they was out there working in the field one day, and they came across some oil, crude oil flowing down. Jed and the family, and they called it black gold. And the folks told Jed now that this crude oil done come down through the field. Hey, y'all got to move away from here. You got to get away from the country, and you got to go into Beverly Hills where the rich folks live. Because up came that crude of bubbling oil. And that's what Jeff did. Jeff and his family sold everything that they had, and they purchased that field of oil, and they moved to Beverly Hills. I want to get back to what scripture is saying about the man that bought or purchased the field. Now, according to the scripture, it says that the treasure was already hid in the field, was already there. Just like the oil with the Jethro people. The treasure was already there. And when he realized what was in this field, he sold everything that he had to purchase this field. Now we have to come to the understanding, what is this field? That one sold everything that he had to purchase this field. Now we know that if you raised in the country, there is something in the field that is just like the oil that the Jeffro family discovered, the hillbillies. And it is called black dirt. If you can dig in a field and find black dirt, you have found gold. You have found black gold. Black dirt is the most precious dirt that you can have on your property. You don't need to do anything to it. Everything is already there within that black dirt. All you have to do is plant. Now we have to understand that even in planting, that you're going to have to continue to do some work. This field that this man sold everything for, let me say, when he sold everything, he was not concerned about the economy. He was not concerned about him not having. He was not concerned about starving. He was not concerned about not being able to pay the rent. He was not concerned about not having food on his table. He sold everything that he had to buy this field, which possessed a great treasure. Now, this field, what is the field that the scripture speaks about? This field is the consciousness within us. It is the consciousness within us where there is hidden a great treasure. The treasure of having or bringing forth all the good that there is. This field is the field of our consciousness. And this consciousness, I want to understand that, folks talk about 3 levels of consciousness. Or there's conscious, that which we use to basically pertain to the outer world. That which we use every day to yield or to work with the things of the world. Conscious. Being conscious, aware of what's going on around us. Consciousness is the power, the source, the life that sustains us. Now, when we go to the unconsciousness, when we go from conscious to unconsciousness, then we begin to tap into the storehouse. Then we begin to tap into the power. And it is the power of the subconsciousness operating through the conscious of mind that brings into manifestation the seeds that we have planted, not in our conscious mind, but in our subconscious mind. And when we have come to the point where we understand the powers and the workings of the subconscious mind, then there is that consciousness that is called superconsciousness. Superconsciousness represents we have entered into that state of godlikeness, that we can just think it and it demonstrates, it manifests. Superconsciousness makes us aware or helps us to be aware of all that there is. And the superconsciousness and the subconsciousness and the conscious mind is all in one. It's all within us. So when we experience a state of lack, of limitation, not having, not being able to do, it means that we have not dug deep enough in the field of consciousness and planted the seed of prosperity and success. Now, the one thing that we have to be concerned about is like when you're working with the subconscious, it's like when you're working out in your garden or in your field. You can till the soil and you can fertilize it, plant your seeds and water them. But somewhere in the work that you've been doing, after a time when you go back, you find some weeds. Now, where did those weeds come from? Because I did not plant weeds. I planted seeds. How did the weeds get into my garden? Well, there's a lot of things going on in the world. There's a lot of things that will enter into your subconscious where you have planted the seeds of prosperity and success, positive and constructive thinking. There are those seeds of negative thoughts. And if I want to say it in layman's terms, it's just flying around. You know, like when the wind is blowing, stuff blowing everywhere. Stuff that you don't even want in your yard, in your garden. It's just blowing everywhere, coming from other directions. And it has a tendency to take roots. And when it takes roots, it begins to grow. So that is why when we're working from our subconscious, we have to be aware of the things that we are entertaining. Because the subconscious is such that whatever you plant in it, whatever you take into your subconscious, if you're not careful, it will take root and grow. And if you're truly not careful, the weeds will choke out the good seeds. You will be overcome by the negative and destructive thinking that you have allowed into your subconscious. So when the young man went and sold everything that he had to buy the field, and as the scripture states, he hid, didn't want folks to know what was going on, didn't tell nobody, kept it to himself until he was able to harvest the good of his field. Then when the harvest come to the forefront, it's like everybody's gonna see what's going on in your field. Oh, you got corn, you got wheat, you got cotton, you got this. All looks good. But before the harvest, he kept it to himself about this great treasure that he had found within himself. Because to speak before, it means that you open yourself up to ridicule, you open yourself up to doubt. You're having people say you don't believe that you have that in you, do you? If you have it in you and if you've had it within you, how come you haven't been demonstrating it before now? Just found it. Just found the treasure within me. And I can't go about the world just yet proclaiming, because the robbers will come and rob you. The robbers will come and rob you not of your field of consciousness, but your faith and your trust in the seeds that you have planted within your consciousness, within your subconsciousness. And if you allow yourself to listen to what is being said to you outside of yourself, then you're going to miss your harvest. The subconsciousness within you will always be there. But you will not be able to dig deep within your subconsciousness and to plant the seeds and to nourish the seeds that they may spring forth and bring forth a harvest because of the weeds of other people, the listening to the negativity and the false beliefs that you cannot do or bring forth that which is within you. I've said many times, and I probably will say many more times, there is no excuse for anyone to not have to enjoy the abundance of life. The subconsciousness or the spirit or the consciousness of prosperity and success is right there within you. Has always been and will always be. Now, I want to say something here in reference to metaphysics, and I say it over and over and over and over again. Don't get stuck on the bridge of metaphysics. It's a crossing over. It's preparation. It is an opportunity to refine the human nature so that you can be more in tune and receptive to the powers of the spirit within you, to the power of subconsciousness within you, to the power of the super consciousness that is within you. We sometimes study metaphysics and we go back and forth. We go from metaphysics back into the world. and we go from the world back into metaphysics. We don't make progress. We don't put into practice the things that we have learned, the things that have been shared with us, the things that we have been taught. If you want to experience the abundance of life, the good of life, to be able to enjoy life, that which is needed is already there within you. Now, I don't like to pick on people, but I'm going to pick on some folks here this morning, one or two people anyway. My first person that I'm going to pick on is Miss Kate. She's the first person that I'm going to pick on this morning. And bless you, Miss Kate. The kingdom is the treasure. I like this. Thought about you, Miss Kate, when I was reading this scripture, meditating this morning. For a lady that has never taken any painting lessons, never gone to school, and if you've seen her paintings, you have to know that they are most beautiful, unique. How can a person do such work if they've never gone to school and studied for it? Where does it come from? It comes from within. It comes from that treasure that is within. And just as she has brought forth that treasure within her, so can you and I. There is something within us, something within our subconsciousness that is all powerful, doesn't need any training, doesn't need any learning. It already is. What we need to do is sell everything that we have and buy this field of our consciousness. Now, let's understand one thing. When I say sell, according to the scripture, it doesn't mean that you go out and sell your car and your home and your clothes and all your jewelry. Doesn't mean that at all. It means that you become detached. It means that it is no longer your number one priority. It means that you will no longer give your life's energy to the things of the world that cannot give you peace, cannot give you joy, cannot give you happiness. And at some point, the things of the world, they become stagnated, stationary, and you have to keep pumping something into them to keep them going. But when you access that field within you, and as you continue to plant the seeds of prosperity, success, positive and constructive things, that consciousness within you will continue to provide. It never gets to a point where it cannot. It never gets to a point where it will not. It must always continue to bring forth the seeds that are planted within the field of your consciousness. And I say, as I've said so many times before, the I am in you, the I am of you, is the power source within you. There is nothing, as Paul said, greater is he that is in you than he that is in the world. There is nothing in and of the world that is greater than the power of I am within your physical bodies. And when you attune yourselves to that, when you affirm and accept and speak with authority, I am, whatever you attach to I am, is that which the subconsciousness, the power of the subconsciousness within you will bring forth into your outer world. Learn to live from within. And when we commit and dedicate ourselves to living from within, the good that we seek and desire will manifest in our outer world. It is the law of life. Sell everything that you have. Detach. Let yourself know that it is not as important as the field of your consciousness and the treasure that lies within. That's your life. That's your livelihood. That's your health. That's your prosperity and success. All that you desire is right there within you, and the world cannot give you what you already have. It's already there. It's always been. And I'm so grateful and thankful that as I speak with you this morning and share with you as it has been revealed to me, I'm grateful and thankful, as you've heard me say many times, of my life of not having and all the pain and suffering that I've gone through. But there was always something within me saying, it's right there within you. It was a matter of finding it. And if you're truly seeking to know thyself, if you're truly seeking to know what is within you, then the door will be open. But you must be a seeker within yourself instead of searching outside of yourself. A treasure in a field that belongs only to you, and no one can take it away. No one can dig up this treasure but you. But you don't have to go and tell that you're digging in a field within you. Because if you're not careful, the robbers will come. The robbers of doubt, the robbers of negative thinking, the robbers of fear will come and seek to rob you of your treasure. God has given unto us all that we need. We need not ask any man for anything, for God has given to all. He did not give to one and slack the many. What he gave to one, he gave to all. What he gave to the master teacher, Jesus, he gave to all. We have to turn within and dig within our field of consciousness. And so it is. Namaste. Bless you.